Well, this is today's project, a 2007 Hyundai Sonata. This one has an AC problem. The clutch doesn't engage, the relay is perfectly okay, fuses are okay, everything's okay. The compressor has basically died. So, when you replace the compressor, you don't just replace the compressor, you also replace the condenser. And expansion valve or orifice tube, depending on what it has. I'm not sure what this vehicle has yet. I will discover that. It turns out that it's relatively easy. First you have to remove this beast here, and this is the fan shroud. With the fan shroud there are two bolts at the top. Can't quite see. You can't see where they are there. Anyway, there are two bolts at the top, and then it slots in to these catches down here. Ah, that's where the bolts are there, you dummy. Okay, so there, and there is an electrical connection, which I've swung out the way. And this, you're meant to press it, but it's difficult. So what I do is I get a flat blade screwdriver in and push it down. What you will need to do is disconnect the bottom hose, disconnect the top hose from the radiator. Then with that done, this will then fall back. You can then, once you've undone the bolts from the condenser, just pull the condenser out. It is really rather simple. You do have to remove these brackets here that hold the radiator, and they go into, into two nuts here, and the same on the other side. Those two there, and the little brackets that you remove are these ones here. Nice and simple. This, I must admit, is one where I want to say, designers, I normally hate you, but you're doing good on this one so far. Haven't got the compressor out yet, so let's not chicken our counts. But anyway, top hose off, just swing it back out of the way. Bottom hose off, because then once you've done it, you can lift the radiator up, move it back, and pull out the condenser nice and easy. You can see here I've left it sealed up at the moment. I've got the new condenser in there. You don't want to take those out until you're ready to make the connections. And obviously I will be replacing all the seals. Now this one, as you can tell, goes there. The other one that I have, which is this hose here, I will be giving that a good clean up and replacing these seals before I put it back together. If ever you break into an air conditioning system, do replace the seals. It's not worth screwing around, really. Okay, and then there's this hose here, which is a big ass mofo that goes in there. Hopefully you can see that, and it's not too dark down there. Next thing is to get the compressor out. To do that, obviously I have to take the tension off of the belt. Let me see if I can get a light. Hang on a second. And the tensioner is down there. Don't know what size that is yet. I will find out and tell you. And then we will take the tension off of the belt, but I may well do that from underneath once I've taken this wheel off, because I think it's going to be easier access through the wheel arch to get to the compressor. Although, as I said that, I've undone the bolts on the bottom of the compressor. If I can take the tension off of that belt down there without losing the route the belt goes through, I might just be able to get that compressor out through here whilst I have all of this room. Alright, well, I'll tell you what, guys, let's give that a go. I hate doing this, but I gotta take my hat off to Hyundai. That compressor is resting there now on some pins. The bolts are here in my hand. It's just sitting there waiting for me to put the bolts in. I mean, that's good design. Just slip the bolts in the holes. And it'll hold it in position. The compressor This is a kit I got my customer to purchase from Rock Auto, and it comes with everything you could possibly need, and some things you don't need. The compressor, it says, is full of PAG oil, and if the vehicle has a rear AC, then you need to top up the oil with a few extra ounces. In this particular case, that is not true. The electrical connection here, believe it or not, it came off beautifully. I guess it's going to struggle to go back on. Let me see if I can get it round to the correct orientation. It doesn't want to go on. It goes on, but then it wants to come off. I'm going to have to look at that because that is not acceptable. It has to go on and stay on, so I need to look at that. Alright, I just want to let you know that's how it is with the compressor. Just put the other two bolts in the bottom, and that'll be done. Now I've got to go buy a new serpentine belt because I checked this one out and it's splitting, so that's no good. While you're here, you don't screw around, you replace it. I do hate the fact that mechanics do that a lot. They call you, oh well, you also need a blah 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 and a blah blah blah. I don't do that unless it's necessary, and I do detest doing it. But I did mention to this customer that the belt, which is on the floor here now, and you can see it's splitting. See that cracking there? Let me just move over to the light here just in case you can't see that. Look at it. That would not last long, and then it would split. Alright, so let's go get him a new belt and get that put on. And I can tell you now, it's going to be a painus inus rectimus to get this damn thing on. I mean, for one thing, look at the length of it and the route it takes. Oh my god. Okay, I got the belt off without taking the wheel off. The only issue I have at the moment is the wrench I used on the tensioner is now hitting part of the alternator there. So, I mean, I got the belt off with it there. I've just got to feed the belt back on. Because I can't get this wrench off until I get the tension back on the belt. So that's going to be fun. Once I've done that, then I'm going to start connecting the AC lines. I don't want to do that yet because I want to make sure I can get this belt back on. And as you can see, the compressor is now in position and ready. The condenser is in and ready. I have replaced all the seals, and FYI for all you people that don't do this that often, when you make these connections back on here, do put some PAG oil on the seals. It just makes them seat nicely. And with the kit that this customer purchased from Rock Auto, it comes with some PAG oil, and I did not need to add any, but I will be using this to lubricate the seals. Obviously I'm going to end up with a bit more spare, which I'm sure the customers have absolutely no interest in, so I will just be putting it in my stock of PAG oil just in case I need it for something else. Well, as I mentioned, it was so much easier to get the compressor out this way. The biggest problem I've had is with this belt. I've replaced the belt for the customer because it needed it. But by God, is that a battle getting it back on and getting the route right. I mean, I took some photographs, but whoo, damn, that was tough. I even had to disconnect this steering hose so that I could get enough leverage on the wrench, which hang on a second, if I can put my light there without blinding everybody, so that I got a long wrench from here and swung it right the way up to here. I had to get that much tension on it, and obviously it's easier if you can slide it on over one of the idlers rather than trying to get it over one of these edges, which is what I did. I got it over this idler here, that one there. But as you can see, it cost me some blood. No surprise there. But yep, that's the baby there. What a pain in the ass that is to get on there. There's no room at all. But it's on now, so the next thing is to clean this off because it got kind of grubby. And I'm going to blast that off with some brake cleaner. And once I've done that, then I can start connecting these. And if you've never done one of these AC jobs before, when you take these plugs out, it will hiss. And on the compressor usually there's quite a bit of pressure, so do be aware of that. It will make a noise, so you know, don't be scared. So now I can start getting these on. I've replaced all of the seals, and now, as I said, I'm going to clean this off. And once I've got that clean, we will lube up the seals and pop them on. Initially the old one had a stud here, but it looks like they've supplied us with bolts this time, so that will be fine by me. That's what I will do next. I won't necessarily show you me putting this in here because that's not really very interesting. I will show you something else before I wrap this video up. I'm not quite sure what yet. Maybe just vacuuming the system down, which I'm sure you really know anyway, but I'll show you just in case you haven't done it before. Okay, the compressor is now all connected up. Pipes are on, seals are in, and the condenser up here is all done. Next is putting all of the radiator shroud back in, reconnecting the coolant hoses, making sure everything is as it should be. So the next thing for me to do is to put the shroud back in, the fan shroud here, and let's get it done. Right, here is the fan shroud, and it does go in remarkably easily. Okay, clunk click every dick. That's it. Bang those back into place. Right, now where's the bolts? Don't need the bolts. It'll be that one there and that one there. Just going to get them lined up. It's always tricky. Okay, that's that one. And this one is proving to be a little more tricky. Come on, get in the hole. Put some hair around it. Where's my... Oh, I bet you put a tool down and you forget where the hell you put the damn thing. Okay. Now, one thing that I do, again, I put them out there as what I do. I don't say it's perfect, but it works for me, and you may like to adopt it. And that is, when I do something like this shroud, I make sure I finish everything that goes with that shroud as best I can. Okay, and that would be the electrical connector. Now that's all done. Now I've got to fix the radiator, and that was these weird little brackets. Which way did that one go? Yep, that one goes in there, which means this one goes in here. Now what I've got to do is get the bolts in. And I try and keep things separate. In other words, over there what I did have was, for all the radiator stuff, I had all the bolts for the radiator in one place. I've not always done that. I try and do it, and sometimes I do forget, but it works well if you can do it. Because then you're not going, oh, was that bolt for the radiator, or was that bolt for the intake, or whatever, and oh crap, can't remember. And then you go to put a bolt in and you suddenly go, oh crap, this bolt's too short, or this bolt's too long. Oh, I must have put the wrong one in the wrong place. Which one was it now? So they're just my thoughts. You do with it what you will. Okay, let's crank it up. Dee dum dum dum. Okay, that's that one. I was doing that blind. Gotta get me a electric ratchet for doing up these kind of bolts. You know, a cordless one. I've got an air one, but that means you've got to fire up the compressor every time. So let me see now. I think what we'll do here is we will use the socket to get it in the hole. So this is a pain in the ass. There she goes. Okay. And there is a shield to go on the top there. Then the air box to go in, and the hose to connect, of course. You can start relaxing hose. And of course we do have to fill it up with coolant. And then once all of that is done, I'll vacuum it down, and while I'm vacuuming it down, that's when I'll fill it full of coolant. Just saves a bit of time doing it that way. And while I'm standing here blabbing to you guys, I am actually looking around to make sure I haven't forgotten anything, or pulled a wire off, or a plug, or anything, you know, because it's so easy to forget. When you're an old fart like me, it is anyway. Alright, that's done, that's good. Okay, pop that hose back in there, give it a tug. These hoses are actually in pretty good condition. Must be lunchtime, I'm feeling hungry. Hey, you booger. Alright. Sometimes these tools are not always the easiest to get onto what you're trying to do. Alright, I'm going to have to cheat here. Okay, that's better. There we go. That's that done, and that done. Alright, time to attach the pump and vacuum this down and keep fingers crossed that it doesn't leak. Right, here we are now set up with the vacuum pump connected to the low side, connected to the high side. The taps are open. This is just hanging on there. Let's go. There she goes. It always smokes a little bit because that's got oil in it, but that soon comes off. Now we need to vacuum this down for about 40 minutes. Then we'll lock off the valves, hope it holds the vacuum. We'll see that for about, I guess, about 30 minutes. And if it does, then we start filling it with Freon R134. That's going to be it really, apart from what? Oh, running the AC and telling you whether it's cold or not. So now I've got to fill up the cooling system. Alright, final part of this video. AC is fully charged now. As you can see, we've got good pressure on the low side and good pressure on the high side. This one takes 25 ounces. Also, coolant level is good. When you're doing this, one thing to bear in mind is that you should run the engine with the heater on. And the only reason I say that is sometimes you can get an airlock in the heater matrix, and this is a good method of making sure you don't get one. But what I always do is tell the customer after 2 or 3 days, please check your coolant level, just in case there's an airlock that I didn't get out. You never know, and I'd rather they had to inconvenience of checking the coolant level once rather than their engine have a problem. So there we are, this is the job all done. Everything's back together now, so time to call the customer and tell him to come collect his car.